What's up guys, in this video I'll be doing a side-by-side look at Vivid's Ultimate Tint line for headlights and taillights. Vivid's Ultimate Tint is a dry application headlight and taillight tint that, when you install properly, looks practically OEM. It has a really smooth, super glossy finish that looks factory. Vivid's Ultimate Tint line now comes in 3 levels of darkness: super light smoke, and dark smoke. Super Light Smoke was just released earlier this year in 2023, whereas Light Smoke and Dark Smoke were released sometimes in 2022, maybe late 2021 if I recall correctly. So now there's essentially a light, medium, and dark shade for each of these tints. Now let's take a look at each of these in a side-by-side comparison to see what the differences are in their coloring. So here we have all 3 of Vivid's Ultimate Tint for headlights and taillights. This is their super light smoke, this is their light smoke, and this is their dark smoke colors. This is the packaging that they come in when you order them, and I'll have links in the description for you to order some if you like. Really unique packaging. I think it's pretty cool. I dig it. It's this graffiti look for the packages. This box is a little bit bigger than these other 2 boxes because this is a 30-foot roll, whereas these are 10-foot rolls, and they're 16 inches tall or wide by 10 feet long and 30 feet long respectively. So when you order it, this is what the packages will look like when it comes in. Really unique packaging. Open it up, and inside will have a description with specifications for the vinyl, a little description of it, and then the vinyl itself comes in. It's almost like when you order, or not order, when you get a box of saran wrap or aluminum foil, how it's in a roll in a box, and then you can actually use the box to as a cut line or a cut guide as you measure out what you need for your application. So taking a look at the films before they've been applied, this is what they look like still on the roll. So this is the super light smoke. As you can see, it's a very light gray color. The light smoke is a little bit darker, as you can see, and the dark smoke, as you can see, is pretty dark. Now, I do not know what the light transmission percentages are for each of these films. All right, and just so you can see the color differences a little bit better, I cut out a couple test strips here. This is the super light smoke, the light smoke, and the dark smoke. Now, they may look a little bit rough right now, but that's because each of these films comes with a plastic protective cap lining on it, as you can see me peeling it off here, which will reveal the ultra gloss or super glossy finish. This cap can be left on during the install, which is nice because it prevents those micro scratches that your buffer may leave on your film. Those micro scratches will heat out, but it's always nice to have something to protect it first so that when you peel it off, you don't necessarily have to do that to heat out any scratches. You always should post heat, of course, but it's always nice to not have to get a little extra heat on it just to get rid of some scratches and just have a beautiful finish right off the bat. All right, so enough with looking at the films as they're not installed. What we'll do here is take a look at the films installed, and I'll wrap my entire tail light in one film and leave the other one unwrapped, and then I'll show it in light and then also in the dark with the tail light on as well. And starting off with the super light smoke, here you can see I tinted my driver's side tail light with the super light smoke, and my passenger side is still untinted. You can see it's a very subtle color, and up close, if you look at it by itself, you'd be hard pressed to tell that the taillight is actually wrapped. The color is very, very light, as the title of the color would indicate, as super light smoke, but you can also see how smooth and OEM the finish looks with this film. And here is what the film looks like in the dark. Again, my passenger side is untinted, my driver's side is tinted, and you can see that it's really hard to tell that there's actually any tint on the driver's side tail light based on all the lights. Just from what I could see with my eye and through this camera, it is really light, so it should have very minimal effect on light output for the tail light. Up next is light smoke, which is the medium color in this lineup. My driver's side taillight, like before, is wrapped in it, and the passenger side is unwrapped, and you can see that it is a slightly darker color than the super light smoke, but it's not overly dark. It is still pretty subtle. Looking at the film up close, it does have that glossy OEM-like look, and you might be hard pressed with this tint and the super light smoke if both of the taillights were wrapped. It'd be hard to tell, I think, in my opinion, if that someone would be able to know that they were actually wrapped or tinted. Taking a look at the coloring in the dark, you can see it is still subtle enough that it is hard to tell. It is tinted on the driver's side tail light, and the passenger side, as you can see, it's slightly brighter, but not by much. You can see a little bit of a difference, but overall not too noticeable. And last but not least is dark smoke. It's obvious here which taillight is wrapped, the driver's side of course, and the passenger side is not wrapped. This is really dark. It almost looks pretty pitch black. It's really hard to see the lights beneath the casing itself. You can barely see it through here. It does have that really smooth, glossy finish to it. Now, my wrap job on this particular install wasn't the best. I was rushing a little bit trying to get all three of these films installed sequentially, but the point is it does look really good still if you install it properly. Looking at it in the dark, you can obviously tell the light output on the driver's side has been significantly diminished compared to the unwrapped passenger tail light. This is something to consider if you do decide to install this. You may have to change out the bulbs in your tail light to something brighter, like LED bulbs, so that you have good light output, particularly for safety reasons if people are behind you and they can tell definitely that your lights are on and working with this tint on. And so here we have all the tints for comparison during the day as applied with no light on, as well as no tint at the bottom left. You can see the differences between all three of them, and also take a note at how glossy and shiny and OEM it looks. Now taking a look at the light tint output at night. I didn't have a video with no tint on both taillights because the right side taillight on each of these samples shows without tint on it as well, so you can see the differences between super light smoke, and dark smoke. So now that you've seen how these tints look installed, you might be asking how easy are these tints to install, and the answer is, depending on your application of course, pretty easy. I have several videos that I have on my channel showing how these tints can be installed, but they're just like installing regular vinyl wrap if you've done any of that before. Dry application, no wet application. All three of these films are stretchable, heatable, and repositionable, and they can be installed with that plastic protective sheet still on. And as you saw in the video, when they are installed correctly, in my opinion, they look amazing. The gloss finish is probably the best I've seen and the closest I've seen that looks factory. I do have another video comparing Vivid Ultimate Tint to Luxe Light Wrap Tint, and you can see the differences there as well. So let me know what you think of these films. If you used them before, drop me a comment in the comment section down below. If you do want to get these films, any of these films, I'll leave links in the description below as well. And one last thing, guys, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button and consider subscribing. Also, be sure to tap the bell notification button so you get notices when I post new content to the channel. As always, guys, thanks again for watching and have a great day.